The topic I'm going to be doing today is a little weird and slightly uncomfortable for me, but I wanted to make this video because I thought it was important um, to, you know, uh, get the mental gears turning maybe for some other people, hopefully, for themselves, not for, not for anything else. It's exclusively for other detransitioners to hear. Or whoever's thinking about doing it. Before I get into it, I wanted to, the survey that I mentioned, I did actually do it. I did finally do it, and it took a really long time. Really, really long time. Because I had to, remember everything, and, I swear I'm, very slightly dyslexic, so I'm just I need to read it perfectly, and I need to reread it to understand it, and hopefully, answering everything right. So anyway, while I was answering those questions, I contacted my mom and so what happened medically? What what was going on back then? Because I only remember so much, and basically my mom and I just remembered the pretty much the same things. Uh, there's grass tickling my feet. Um, yeah. So, uh, but one thing that she did tell me that I didn't realize apparently, uh, like when the therapist building burnt down, I my teenage brain was like, that's it, I'm just released, and there's nothing else to it. This is it, and she's basically gone. Not nobody got hurt in the fire, but I'm just symbolically she's gone. That's what went on in my head. So then but apparently, um, yeah, I guess according to my mom, my therapist did send the letter to my doctor. So, but even so, it's just yeah. I mean, I understand that doctors aren't qualified to talk about anything psychological because they're just medical doctors. So it makes sense why they just automatically believed. But given how short of a time that I was in therapy, it's really, really suspicious regardless. I'm pretty sure, I'm extremely certain it was less than a year. Almost a year, granted, but not a full year. Um, anyway, let's get to the subject. A really uncomfortable subject. Yeah, so I felt compelled to do this because it was just oh, that's why. I had an epiphany when it happened. So first of all, um, I think it was a couple weeks ago. I was looking at more, and I guess I have a little bit of a habit of looking at other detransitioner videos, and I found this one girl, um, Gabriella, FtM, kind of silly name, but whatever. Gets the point across. It's on brand, I guess. Anyway, but yeah, so one of her videos, she was describing how um, she was really into yaoi, which which is Japanese, pretty much just Japanese gay porn. That's basically what it is. I'm I'm ashamed of myself, honestly. This is why I forgot. I put it out of my memory because it was just it's just gross. I don't know, but she was talking about that, and when she first said it, I was just kind of huh. I guess that makes some sense. And then I came across GNC Centric, who I don't remember if she directly talked about it, but I went into the comments and somebody mentioned it, and then when I saw that comment, I was like, duh, duh. and then it just totally clicked for me. There's a few components that go into this. So, I shudder at the thought, but it's important, I need I need other people to like know, not because it's me, but because it's for them. Yeah, so basically in high school, um, I I made friends right from the get go. I made friends with bisexual girls, and some lesbian girls, and one or two gay guys. So I completely surrounded myself with the LGBT community in our school, and I'm knocking off the T because nobody was trans in my school. I was the only one masquerading around as one, and shows you how rare it is, huh? But anyway, yeah. So I'm thinking that like this contributes to it, like having my main influence of friends and stuff be gay, bi, and lesbian and stuff. I'm not saying that they influenced me to do this, but it was just kind of like that was the backdrop. I'll explain a little bit later. I'll explain how it like ties in. Yeah, so in my home life, I was uh, I had mentioned in like my first video, and I think the second one. It doesn't matter. The earlier ones, the gross ones. I mentioned that I got into DeviantArt. That was the first thing I went on because I was an artistic child. Artistic, not autistic. And I would go on there and post my drawings, digital or whatever. So I'd be drawing fan art and then posting that, and then meeting people who are also doing the same thing, and then you find communities of people who are interested in the same stuff as you. So this happened around 2008. So I was about 13 years old, and that would put me in, well, this is middle school era. And yeah. And so I know it was around 2008 because I was like super obsessed with Super Smash Brothers Brawl, and that had just come out. And uh I remember like really, I don't know why. I guess because when I was little I liked like kind of feminine guys, I guess. I don't know. But I liked the character Pit. Um I don't know if I'm gonna put like an image of him. I don't know. I guess I will. But yeah, so I was like totally obsessed with him, and I'd be like drawing him all the time. I would go on DeviantArt, which also had writing. People would write like poetry and um, their own stories and fan fiction. Ooh, gross. Everybody knows what that means. So uh yeah, so I would be looking at very very innocently, very innocently. I'd be looking into fan fiction that was like just stories, no romance, nothing, just stories. And I don't remember how many I read, but I remember this one where I'm not gonna like tell the whole story or anything, but uh, essentially, like it started out like pretty standard, like they're setting up the environment. Pitt's coming in, he's like he's a new recruit, and yada yada yada, and then he he comes across the ever illustrious Ike, and I was like, oh, they're just friends. Oh God. Uh, Long story short, they bang, and my kid brain was like, oh my God, what are they doing? nothing wrong with gay porn, but I'm just saying, like, as a kid, seeing that stuff, and it's, like, kind of hardcore, or at least in my mind, it was so hardcore. It's just kind of like, whoa, whoa, maybe you shouldn't be reading that. That, the, I guess, the arousal triggered a kind of fetish. So, then I just became obsessed with that. Like, I got hooked on it. Oh my god. I don't like talking about this. I'm not even going into, like, detail, and I'm, like, disgusted. No, again, nothing wrong with gay stuff, but I'm just saying, like, me fetishizing this is, like, that's gross to me. And so there were, like, plenty of other girls. I mean, the girl who wrote that one, I'm assuming it's a girl. Um, uh, they were all, they were all obsessed with it, and it was like a whole community of girls. And um, I'm gonna butcher the word probably. I mean, it's Japanese. These girls were called Fujoshi. I don't know, but I became one myself, and we would just obsess over yaoi together. So it would just be this cyclical, just sort of like uh, one girl would show you a story, and then you would read it, and then you would read your own stories, and then you'd feed it to them, and it'd just be this whole circus. I don't know. I don't like putting on labels when I don't really fully understand them, but I'm gonna say there seem to have been. Oh no. Oh no. Hello, little guy. Hi. No. No. Wow. No. There's a little jumping spider. um. Alright. Okay, that was cute. The jumping spiders are actually my favorite spiders. I hate all of the spiders. Uh, so I think that and this obsession, like fueled autoandrophilia, which there seems to be like maybe two or three different forms of it. One where where a biological woman dresses up as a man, and she's like, "Oh yeah, that's good stuff." And then there's the other one where I don't know. Again, I don't fully understand it, so I don't want to say this is what I had. But it seems to be kind of along the lines of that. But anyway, let me explain like why I think this. I think Gabrielle talked about this as well, um, or she like implied it, and then I said to myself like, oh, because I only know this because of Whitney Cummings, and she said that she had or still has a love addiction, and that's 100% what I had. And of course, it's like like I'm a kid, I'm a teenager. I don't have the words for this. I'm just experiencing it. And I had this love addiction because, like my parents were divorced. I never really saw in my life people being, romantic and like, romantic and intimate with each other. I never saw it. And I never got it as well because, like, other boys weren't interested in me at all because I was gender nonconforming, um, or GNC for short. And so, you know, I'm the sack of potatoes. Nobody cares about me. And uh, so nobody would ever approach me, and that was a deprivation. A kid going through their parents' divorce and stuff. It's really hard on everybody. And, I can't say like I was unloved or I was hated or anything. It was just really hard time, really bad timing, really. and my mom was pretty much a workaholic, so she wasn't really ever home. She had to do this to, like keep the family afloat, and my dad would be working a lot when we would visit, and he would just be working a lot. We'd only see him in the evenings, and my brothers were also going through this divorce thing as well, and they were trying to cope with it, and they were going through their own teenage boy puberty, and they didn't really, like, understandably, they didn't really trust our parents that much, so they would always like isolate themselves in their room. So I was therefore isolated from everybody, not because I wanted to, but because that's just kind of what happened. And so that's the deprivation of love that I got. And so it fueled the love addiction. I probably explained it for way too long. And one interesting thing, I guess, that it's just like when we're deprived of something, I mean, we're still, chimps or monkeys, so we're like, we we have no idea how to access the things that we want. We know we want them, but we're really like notoriously stupid on how to achieve that. And so uh, when we do feel like we've got it, it's it's not the right thing at all, and it's actually the same thing. So we are masters at getting the things that we don't need. Going into what I was, essentially became an addiction, I went into this romantic slash sexual fan fiction, and that, like, that was my heroin, basically. And tying that with, like I mentioned, the internalized misogyny stuff, I I was already seeing, um, I was seeing, you know, men and masculinity, mostly masculinity, as like really superior, and femininity not so much. So it's so weird how our brains work, but like that combined with the fetish thing, with that fetish, the love addiction, and the internalized misogyny, it all combined together to be like, oh well, the the only way for me to get love from anybody is through the, like, gay relationships just like this. Oof, you know, because those types of relationships are superior, and I was also thinking to myself about how, like, well, I relate to, guys in media more often than girls in media when it came to this is gay porn, basically. I would project myself onto, like, the little one, um, the bottom, as the terminology was in the community, um, or the sub, or no, there was an actual term. It was bouquet. That's right. Ew. Ew. Why? I'm pretty sure it just basically means submissive. But yeah, I would project myself onto this, and then because I could relate to them more, and then when it came to, like, heterosexual couples, like, I hated them. I didn't like looking at heterosexual stuff because not only was I friends with a bunch of gay people, so that was like my environment, my complete and total environment. I couldn't relate to the girl, and the internalized misogyny. I thought she was like, she was weak, and so I would just avoid it. And I think I already said this. I didn't want to project myself onto her, so I just avoided it at all costs. I was like, but I can't relate, so it's not for me. And, sure, it's like a little bit difficult to relate because I was gender non-conforming, and there's just not that much you know, gender non-conforming girls and boys in media. And apparently, if there are originally, they kind of get censored out. I think that another one of the reasons why I like got into it, not just because it was like suddenly a fetish, but also it was like, my friends, they were all gay, lesbian, bi, and I was actually the only one that was technically heterosexual, so I was basically the odd one out, but I think I just denied it, which is a little weird, don't you think? Usually it's the other way around, where you're the gay one and everybody else is straight around you, and they're like, well, I don't get it, but I guess I support you. But that wasn't for me. I think I had a very backwards childhood now that I think back on it. Like, I really think that contributed. Like, oh, I'd be superior if I was a man. Like, technically, I wasn't thinking that deeply into it. I was just thinking, like, oh, if I'm this, then people will just accept me, right? I can just have whoever I want. And there was that naive sense of entitlement that I had. And I would, you know, I just thought, like, if it was any guy, it would just work out. But I wasn't really attracted to gay men, so it was like, like, that doesn't really connect, now does it? I think that's the only way, in my mind, that it makes sense where a heterosexual woman would think that she's trans, is because she starts fetishizing men and starts hating women. That's really the only thing I can think of. Now, the end of that story is that, like, once I pretty much when I detransitioned, like I said in the other video, I just kind of wanted to get rid of everything. I wanted to get rid of my past in that regard. I wanted to forget about everything because, like, I knew it was bad for me. After just getting rid of that and, like, just detoxing all this crazy stuff, uh, pretty much, like, that fetish just dropped. I didn't have it anymore. And I guess in a sense it was relieving getting off of testosterone, which I think also kind of fueled that fetish in a way. It made it a little bit more intense. And so getting off of it and going back into estrogen, holding the reins now, um, it just became less appealing to me. And like I said in my other video, like, just, gay and lesbian porn just became unappealing. I wasn't interested in it anymore, in any capacity. And then, you know, heterosexual stuff started being more appealing. And yeah, and also, I was also getting rid of, and like I said before, this was all after graduation, so I was away from that environment of just like gay and lesbian stuff. Again, I'm not saying that they inspired me. I'm just saying, like, that kind of environment where, like, all of my girlfriends were into it, and you know, again, it's just all like winning on each other, and so getting rid of all that, it was just like, heterosexual stuff's fine. Yeah, it kind of makes it sound like I didn't like them, but it was all just the fetish stuff, and I don't know. To me, just I guess I don't want to fetish shame anybody. I'm shaming myself. I don't know, but it wasn't it wasn't good. I think that's it. That was my epiphany. Anyway, I guess, that's it. I will probably see you Sunday or Monday.